YouTube, this is Richard with Through the Haze Survival. Today I'm going to be going over basically a skills practice that you can do anytime at home. It's called the tri-stick. Now Mors Kochanski, basically like he's the father of some modern day bushcrafting, especially Arboreal Forest. He said he found it in a scout manual, a Canadian scout manual, and then he published it to some outdoor magazines and whatnot. But it's a really awesome way to test out your knife skills, whittling skills, with various cuts and notches that you'll use in bushcraft or just in life in general. So this whole tri-stick, this is cottonwood. You want to use a softwood, something that's not going to crack when it dries over time and that's easy to work with. So this whole thing is cottonwood, and I only used my Condor knife and tool bushcrafting knife. That's the only thing that I used. I didn't use nails. I didn't, because there's some people that use nails to drill holes through their wood for their projects. I just used the Condor bushcraft knife. And then I'm going to bring the camera up close so you can see. I'm going to go over each of these cuts and notches, and then ask you to try it out yourself. Let me know how it goes. It's really kind of interesting to see how well you can process down wood into these various notches and whatnot. So let's bring it in close and we'll take a look. So you'll start off on this end, and you'll see it's kind of hard to see. You blunt the end. You don't want it straight and flat, you want it blunted, so a smooth edge right here. Next one down is the reduction, basically going from the thickness of the stick down to something like this for rollers, pulleys. There's all kinds of uses for this. Then the next one is going to be the pot hook. Let's get it to focus. So you can see it's about halfway through and it goes in at an angle. This is to hold your pot over the fire when you're cooking. So the top of your pot hook will have another hook in it to hold it from your tripod, and then your pot will hang from right here. The next one will be your dovetail. Get to focus again. There you go, dovetail. This one was a little hard. You can see I tried starting over here and I ended up shearing off a big piece. But I got it to go. Again, just using the bushcraft knife. Then you have basically your like a 90 degree for making traps and whatnot, trap triggers. Next one is going to be your through and through and 90 degrees. So again, I didn't use a nail or anything, I just used a bushcrafting knife for it. Then is going to be the bow notch, like where you would put your bowstring through. This one was pretty hard because obviously you have to make it about the thickness of your blade, and you really don't end up using the front of your blade when you're digging it out. You end up using the back tip of your blade to kind of scrape everything out. But you can see that's where your bowstring would go. And then the next one is going to be your 2 V-notches for trap making, making shelter, whatever the case may be. And then the last one is going to be the root puller. So basically you process it down on either side to thin it out, and then you're going to come down the middle, and you can see I got a little carried away with it and end up splitting right here. But I did get it carved down right here in the middle. So you want to carve down about 2 inches. This is for stripping like bark off of roots and stuff. And you thin it down on the sides, and then you make a notch about 2 inches down, 2 inches deep. Again, you have to be careful because if you push it too hard, then it's gonna separate like that. So go over it again, the root stripper. The next one is your V-notches. I forgot one too. We'll look at that in just a sec. For your bowstring, your 90 degrees for processing down. Again, for making traps. Then you have your 90 degree for making traps. The dovetail, cabinet making, stuff like that. And then I forgot about this one. This is the basically like the cabin notch, how you would lay your logs together right here. Then your pot hook, processing down for a pulley, or there's several different uses for it. But you see it's flat right here, it's not tapered, flat right here, and then I go from the full thickness basically down to that center hardwood, the older wood that's in there, and then the blunt end. So again, this is going to be like a skills, something to try out, something to test how well you are at processing down wood and making these various notches. If I can find it, down in the description below, I'll share the link that has basically a PDF of all of these notches, so that way it's something you can print out and you can look at while you're working on it. Again, use a soft wood. It's easier to process and it won't crack once it gets dry. And only use your knife. So use whatever knife you're comfortable with. Again, this is my favorite knife to use, the Condor Knife and Tool bushcrafting knife. I had a lot of success with it, obviously. But whatever knife you choose to use, I would especially encourage you to use the knife that you carry on a regular basis, one that you use on a regular basis, so that way you know it can perform these tasks of fine cutting and carving. So I'd encourage you again to try it out. Share your how well you do on the Facebook page. I'd like to see how everyone does and see how successful they are at it. So thank you for joining me, and join me outdoors.